cousin. I know I feel so weird. I feel like Kayla's listening to me. Kayla, if you're listening to me, stop listening to me, okay? Because I'm embarrassed. Hey guys, my name is Priscilla. If you're here from TikTok, hi. I'm actually here to tell the story about how I got engaged to my cousin, and I guess just give you all the details like leading up to it, what happened afterwards, all of that. And I feel like I should preface this by saying, because if you are from TikTok, you obviously don't know me. I feel like I should preface this by saying that I am from a polygamous cult called the Order. Well, in the cult they call it the Order. A lot of people know them as just the Kingstons, the Kingston clan. They also go by Davis County Co-op Society or something like that, I don't know, but we just call it the Order. We're located in Salt Lake City, Utah. I don't live there anymore. I live in Vegas. I was also on Escaping Polygamy. I told a little bit about my story there, and I'll like insert some clips here. I definitely look a lot different, and if you say I don't, I hate you. I'm just kidding. But this is literally just after I had gotten out of the rehab that my parents sent me to stop me from leaving. Little baby 17-year-old Priscilla running away to Vegas. I hope there's not too much of an echo. I'm not at my house. I actually came to Scottsdale to get my hair done. I cut it more. I have like a crimp in here. I cut it more and just refreshed the blonde, and that's it. Let me know what you think. But we will just get into the video and my story. Honestly, my story is not super like rare in the group, because a lot of people marry not only their cousins but their half siblings, and it's super normal. So I feel like when I first told this story, I didn't think it was a big deal, and then people are like, wait, what? You got engaged to your cousin? What are you talking about? Because it's normal there. Not normal to me, but you know, normal there. So I don't really know where to start this story, so I guess I'll just start by saying I went to my cousin's house all the time. His aunt was one of my favorite aunts. His mom. Randomly, his family members, as well as mine, because you know, we're all family members, but people would just kind of make little comments like, oh, you guys would be so cute together. Or I remember his mom told me, I would be so happy if you guys ended up together because I already know you. I know you're so sweet. I know he would be so happy. And just saying things like that. Obviously, I didn't say anything because I don't know what to say to that. So I'm just like, okay. So she was saying things, and then my grandma, who is both of our grandmas, like not my grandma from the other side, but our grandma, was also saying things like, I would just be so happy to see, you know, two of my favorite grandchildren together. I just know that you guys would be so happy, and just making comments like this. And I didn't really know what to say to it, because I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, okay, grandma, that's fine. Then he and I started to kind of talk about it, and he told me that his dad actually told him that he should marry me, and I'm like, what the hell, why? And so that's what ended up getting everybody else talking about it, is because his dad had said something. His dad and his grandpa, who's like the head of the family or whatever. So they were talking to him about it. Maybe you should marry her, you should talk to her, you should whatever, like, we think you guys would be good together. So everyone's just making all of these comments, and at first I was just like, this is just weird, but you know, I'm not gonna say anything about it, right? But then my own mom starts being like, oh yeah, that would be really good, don't you think, if that happened? And I'm like, this is becoming a thing that I have to worry about, I think. So I had a conversation with him, and I was like, look, I don't want to marry you. I actually want to leave, because I knew that I wanted to leave my group for a really long time, but all of my runaway attempts were unsuccessful, unfortunately. But so I just told him I'm not planning on staying here. At this point I was 17, So I'm like, I'm planning on leaving when I'm 18 and we shouldn't get married. And he was like, oh, well, I could just leave with you. And I'm like, sir, why would I leave this group, give up my whole family just to still end up with my cousin? Like, where does that make sense in your mind? So obviously I was like, no, you should stay. I want to leave. It's for me. We're not going to be together. I'm not going to leave and still end up with my cousin. So I told him, don't ask me to marry you because I'm going to say no. And he's like, okay, yeah, no, I won't. And he had said that he would let his family know that it wasn't going to happen. So like I said in my TikTok, a few weeks went by and my mom woke me up it felt like the middle of the night. It was like 5 a.m. And she was like, hey, I have a surprise for you. I need you to get ready. So I get ready. I go outside, 5 in the morning, and my cousin is there to pick me up. And my mom was like, I'm so excited for you. She was acting all happy. And I'm like, there's no way that this is what I think it is, because he and I had this conversation that this was not going to happen. Like, do not ask me to marry you. I'm going to tell you no. He said he understood. He said he wasn't going to ask me to marry him. So, like, there's no way. I get in his car, and I don't even remember if we talked on the way there. But I do remember getting there. We get in the hot air balloon. It starts going up. As soon as we got to the top, then I don't even think that he kneeled down. I think he literally just like pulled out the ring and was like, will you marry me? And it was a ring from Walmart, by the way. I don't know if that matters at all in the story, but he like pulls out this ring from Walmart and just is like, oh, will you marry me? And I see these people looking at us, so I'm like, yeah. And so he puts the ring on. These people are like, oh my gosh, did you just get engaged? And I'm like, yeah. And they were obviously like way more happy than me. And they're like, wow, that's so amazing. Congratulations. I'm like, thanks. Like, what do I say? The only reason I said yes is because imagine being those people and being like, you just saw someone get proposed to and they said no. How awkward would that be for the rest of your ride? So I was like, I'm just gonna say yes, I'm gonna accept the ring, and then when we get down there, I'm just gonna give it back to him because I'm not marrying him and he knows that. And I was mad at him because I'm like, you said that you wouldn't propose to me and you did. Like, why did you do that? But obviously I'm not gonna have this conversation in this like tight, sorry, I'm holding my phone. Obviously, I'm not gonna have that conversation with him in like this tight hot air balloon with these people around, right? So as soon as we get back down on the ground, I'm like, I'm not marrying you. I already told you that. I don't know why you proposed to me. So I take the ring off and I go to give it back to him. And he's like, well, I already told everybody that you said yes. And I'm like, well, tell them that I said no, that I'm not going to marry you because you said that you were going to talk to everybody and tell them that we weren't going to get married because you're the one that started this whole thing. You and your family are the ones that started this whole thing. I'm not the one that went around being like, oh, I want to marry him. No, that was you. So I was like, well, tell them that I said no. And he's like, no, I already told them I said yes. So I literally, don't even ask me how my brain worked back then. But I was like, well, now I have to do it because I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to disappoint anybody. So, okay. And I put the ring back on my finger. You guys, everybody's just congratulating me. Like my mom, his mom, our grandma that we shared together. Everyone's just so excited about this thing. I honestly don't even remember who all was messaging me, but I'm like, there's no way that I can let all these people down. They're gonna be so upset with me. And I, back then, cared so much about what people thought about me that I'm just like, I can't be seen as the bad person, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna marry him. That's gonna be my life, and I'm gonna have 14 babies with my cousin. Wow. Don't ever say that again, Priscilla. Anyway, how it works in my group is that when you get proposed to, like when you get engaged, you're not actually technically engaged. You still have to have the approval of the leader of the group, so you have to schedule an appointment to get engaged. The group has gatherings for those 2 holidays at their property in Bountiful, so everyone was gathered there, and I had my meeting at some point in the day. Before my meeting, I actually ran into a friend of mine, Amanda's sister, Rachel. I ran into her and I told her that I had a meeting to get engaged that day, and she was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Do you want to marry him? And I'm like, obviously I don't want to marry him. And she's like, then say no. Okay. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I did think of that, but it's so weird growing up like that. I feel like you literally just need one person to be like, you don't actually have to do that. You're right. I won't marry him. What the hell? So I was sitting there talking to her, and he walked up to us and he's like, hey, it's time for our meeting. I'm like, okay. And he's like, are you gonna come? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna come. And he's like, okay, and just walked away. So he walks away, and then a few minutes later he comes back and he's like, hey, can you just come tell them that you're not gonna go to the meeting? And I'm like, no, I'm not going. You can say whatever you want, blame everything on me, whatever you want to do, but I'm not coming to the meeting because I'm not gonna marry you. And he's like, okay. So he walks away again, and at this point across the street there was a park and everyone was playing volleyball over there. So I go over there, I'm playing volleyball, and my brother comes and finds me, and he's like, hey, I need you to go talk to mom, she's really upset. So I go over there and she's super upset, and she's like, well, you already said yes. Like, imagine how all of these people feel. He was crying. Brother Paul scheduled out this time slot for us. He only has limited time and you just wasted it. You can't do this to his mom. You can't do this to us. That's so embarrassing. You already said yes. I fought for this for you. I just wanted you to be happy, because I actually did. When I was 14, I really wanted to marry this other guy who was not related to me. And I think honestly that's why I wanted to marry this guy so much, is because he was like one of 20 people that were not related to me. But she was like, oh, after that I felt so sad for you, I pushed for this. And I'm like, well, I didn't ask you to push for this. I'm not the one that wanted this to happen. I was just going along with it for you guys for a while. And I'm like, I'm sorry if you're disappointed, but I just can't live my entire life just to make you guys happy. I'm not gonna marry this guy and have a bunch of kids with him just to make you guys happy. I'm sorry. I remember it was super dramatic. He was like, what were you doing right before this? Who are you playing volleyball with? Tell me all the boys' names. You like someone else, don't you? That's the only reason you wouldn't marry him. I'm like, Mom, I just don't want to marry him. I don't want to marry my cousin, okay? I just don't. Like, that's the end. There's no other man in the picture. I just don't want to marry him. And she did not believe that for 1 second. So she was literally trying to go find out who was playing volleyball. After I refused to go to the meeting, and at the end of our conversation, she was like, don't even bother coming home. I don't want you there. You're not allowed at my house. I ended up moving in with my grandma, because even though my mom didn't want me at her house, I also wasn't allowed to just leave. So I went home with my grandma, and she gave me my own little apartment in her basement, and she literally had to drive me to my mom's house, and I had to climb in the window to go get some of my stuff because I wasn't allowed in her house. She drove me over there, and I snuck in and got a bunch of my stuff, which I was so thankful for my grandma, because she was actually one of the only ones other than Amanda's sister. But my grandma actually had a conversation with me, and she was like, I'm really glad you didn't do that, because I don't think that that's the right decision for you. And I'm like, thank you, because the rest of my family, including my grandma on the other side, were so upset and disappointed in me, and I felt like I didn't really have anybody in my corner. So the fact that my grandma was there for me was the best. So yeah, I wasn't allowed in my mom's house after that ever again. Like, have I ever been there? I did. I went there one last time after that, which I think I brushed on a bit. So I lived with my grandma for a month, and then that was when I actually ran away again because even though they kind of moved past me marrying that specific cousin, they still did want me to get married, and I was just very like, no, like I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. So I did end up leaving about a month later, I'd say. I think I told you guys a bit about how I ended up in a rehab for kids, and that actually stemmed from me not wanting to marry my cousin. I think that that's where it kind of started. That was the boiling point. Obviously a bunch of stuff happened in between those two things, but yeah, if you guys want to hear more about that, just, I guess, let me know. I don't even know if this story was interesting. I obviously did not end up marrying Kim. I did escape from my group and I moved to Vegas, and now I want to say living my best life, but I'm just living life. Not my best, but it will be. It's okay. I have a few more videos on the way already. Actually, I filmed some stuff with Amanda and Kayla, so that should be coming out soon. I know that I'm always like, I put out a video and I'm like, oh, more coming soon, and then I disappear for like a year or more. But I actually do already have a bunch of content on the way already. I also do have a bunch of stuff coming out about my life now and just things I'm interested in. I definitely am gonna do more get ready with me videos. I love watching those, so I want to make them. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story of my life. Bye.